One. Okay, so welcome to today's session of Learning by Saying. Today we have an amazing speaker, Rianna. Thank you, Rianna, for sharing with us today. And I will hand it over to Rianna to tell us more about her
Yeah,
topic and everything
yeah. So
that goes with
sorry, Rianna.
it.
1 second.
Yes.
Sri, can you send the link of this one? Aslam want to join.
Yeah.
You see in the
To us? Okay, I can
WhatsApp.
add him.
You
Yeah,
see in the
I
WhatsApp.
can add him.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
can add him.
Yes, I'll add him.
Okay. So let me just. So I want to share my screen with all of you today. Can you see my screen?
Yes, no problem.
Okay, great.
Yes.
Okay, so I think Zhuang and Shri knows that I like to put my what I talk about on paper. So I've got a PowerPoint presented here, and I just would like to go through this. So let me give you a little bit of background. For me, trust is a very important value, and I was introduced to this concept, which I'm going to introduce to you, through a talent program in my company. And it has some basis in some books. You know, the word. The source here is trustadvisor.com. And the big question is, why is trust important? Why am I talking about this? And I'm talking about this because it's key to actually, you know, creating business success, personal relationships, even your sales. You know, we were in GBI, and you know, we talked about sales and business success, your team's performance, and even becoming a better leader. So there is an equation to trust, which I don't know if you've ever heard of, but when I heard it, it really made me see trust in a different way. So how do you evaluate trust and make yourself more trustworthy? We generally think of trust, or we use the word to interpret what people are saying or describing behaviors. And we also decide if we feel comfortable sharing information with other people when we think about trust. We also indicate whether we feel other people have interests at our interests at heart. So that are some of the things that we think of when we use the word trust. There are 3 books by Charles H. Green: The Trust Advisor, Trust-Based Selling, and the Trust Advisor Field Book, that actually talk about the equation. So a little bit about the equation. What is the equation comprised of? It's actually got 4 objective variables that you can use to measure trustworthiness. One is credibility, one is reliability, the third is intimacy, and the fourth is self-orientation. So what does this all mean? So credibility actually has to do with the words we speak. So you might hear somebody say, I can trust what she says about intellectual property. She's very credible on the subject. People have LLB, MBBS, or CPA, or whatever else behind their name cards and their titles. It creates credibility. You see that, you feel that person is an expert. They know what they're doing. Reliability has to do with the actions. So we might say, you know, if he says he will deliver the product tomorrow, I trust him because he's dependable. So that reliability, after repeated actions, you show up, you do your thing, people believe that you're reliable. Intimacy is more to do with the safety or the security that we feel when we trust somebody with something. So, you know, if you hear somebody say, I can trust her with that information, she has never, you know, breached my confidentiality, and she would never embarrass me, then you kind of feel very supported and comforted because of that relationship. It's a very personal thing, intimacy. And intimacy also has to do with, you know, building rapport. Then you've got self-orientation. Self-orientation actually refers to the person's focus. So my focus, for example. So when you're looking at whether the person's focus is primarily on him or is it on the other person. So, in sales, very often, you might hear, I can trust him on the deal, or I can't trust him on this deal because I don't think he cares enough about me. He's more focused about what he can get. Or sometimes you will hear people say, I don't trust him. I think he's too concerned about how he's appearing and he's not really paying attention to my needs. So these are the 4 variables in the trust equation. So why is this important? Because this equation helps you to elevate your trustworthiness. This is the key thing here. The equation looks like this. You've got credibility on the as the numerator, and you've got self-orientation as a denominator, which equals to trustworthiness. So the aim is to actually get the numerator of a higher score and self-orientation as a lower score to get a higher score of overall score of trustworthiness. And in this particular case, actually, self-orientation, which sits in the denominator, actually is the most important variable in the trust equation. Why is that so? Because if your self-orientation is high, your overall score is going to be low, which means you're going to be less trustworthy. So, for example, a seller who has low self-orientation is free to completely be honest and focus only on the customer because he's not thinking about himself, he's thinking about the client. He's not thinking for his own sake. And so the overall relationship in business and sales is better. The success rate is better. Although very few salespeople who are transactional have low self-orientation. They mostly have high self-orientation. So that's why they're very transactional. But salespeople or people who believe in relationships may most likely have a low self-orientation. So the truth in selling is that you succeed more often in sales when you actually try to stop selling. So if you know some salespeople who they try to sell you, they don't actually succeed. But the ones who are not trying to sell to you, but they're thinking about how you can possibly get the best out of the deal and how you can have your situation improve, helping you in their ways, they actually are more likely to sell more successfully, and you trust them more and you buy from them. I don't know if you've got that experience before. So the trust equation is really useful because when you think about trust, most people can describe trust in their own way, but this actually gives you a scientific, analytical way and an actionable way to measure your trustworthiness and to see if you're not getting the results that you want in business or in sales with your clients or in your relationships. How is your equation at the moment? Is it higher up in the numerator or higher up in the denominator? And it's also the same with friends. Like you call them up and you say, oh, I have a favor to ask, and every time certain friends just call and ask for favors. So you can see where the trust comes up there as well. What I want to tell you and suggest and encourage you to do is take the trust quotient assessment, which is on this website, trustadvisor.com, to make an assessment of what is your score, and it gives you a little bit of a short report. If you pay some money, you'll get a bit more information about your score, but it's useful to have a starting point. Okay, so that was my introduction to trust and the trust quotient. Any questions?
8 minutes.
Awesome, Rianna.
Okay.
No, I think he said 8 minutes. If you want to add something more, or
Hi. I guess I wanted to know if anyone's actually heard about this or have come across it. You may have. Anyone here?
Not me.
No?
Uh,
Zoe,
no,
have you
no.
come across this?
You mean this particular equation?
Yes.
Oh no, I haven't. This is the first time. Yeah, very interesting.
Yeah, it was very interesting for me when I saw you take the test, you realize, oh, I'm more self-interest rather than other interests. And it's very interesting because, to make lasting relationships, you have to be giving more than getting. And the more you give, the more you get. And in order to be able to give, and for people to receive, you actually need to create. It created a very objective way to measure trust. So I thought it was very interesting. I use
Rianna,
this a
I think
lot.
you can switch back to the unshare the screen so we can see your
Okay.
face
Okay.
because it's
Yes.
already finished. Yeah,
Yes. Okay.
awesome.
So I hope this was useful.
Yes, very interesting. Um, so you are saying that these are from the three books just now you list or
Yes.
one?
Yeah. Actually, it was this person, Charles Green, who actually came up with this concept. And there are three books written by him, and all three books mention this trust equation and also the trust quotient. So the trust quotient is like your emotional quotient, or it's basically a number, and it gives you an indication of where you are on that equation. So it was in the three books. I haven't read all three, but it was introduced as part of a program that I attended
Oh, okay.
at work. Yeah, and it was a
What
key.
program is that?
It was an internal, talent program that I attended, and one of the things that they wanted people to understand is that your relationships and your networks that you build, and the successes you have with your team, all have to do with trust, really.
Okay. So I want to ask you, because I heard there's Stephen Covey, right? I think the son, he has, I think he developed something about trust. Have you heard about that?
And
Stephen Covey, the son, not the father.
yes,
Do you know if there is any similarity or I mean, are they talking about something similar or quite different? Even if you know.
if you can tell me what Stephen Covey's son has written, because there's so much. I don't know in particular what you're
Okay.
referring to.
Yeah. Oh, because I think he has a book called, I don't know, something about trust. I think he's like kind of specialized in this also. And,
Okay.
but I haven't read that book. But it's I think Stephen Covey MR or something.
Yeah. Um, I know that what I've read from before, I've never been able to quantify trust.
Okay.
Um, I've always been able to give qualitative explanations around trust, and it's a very subjective explanation. But I've never been able to quantify really and say, oh, I'm more high on the credibility side. So, for example, if you're looking for the trust is established through the credibility aspect, the variable, you're looking for somebody who's got this certification. If you go to a lawyer, you want to make sure they've got a certification. So it next time you get a business card, look at that and see on those four variables. Um, Especially the first two are more corporate. So the first one is about your credentials. The second one is more about how you've shown up through. So you can kind of weigh somebody on how trustworthy they are. And if you sense that you don't trust somebody, you can use this to kind of figure out what's going on the four aspects as well. Where do you feel that that trust isn't there? Is it more to do with self-orientation or intimacy? You don't feel a rapport with that person, So overall, the score becomes low.
Okay, so the last question for me before other can ask. You mentioned quantitative means there is a score, and
Yes.
you can score each variable.
Yes. So
Wow. Okay.
you actually have to answer 20 questions through the assessment, and then they will give you an overall score.
Can you score other? If you meet someone new, can you score?
No, I think you have to answer all 20 questions, and then they give you an overall score. And
Okay.
I think the average, what I've seen, is 5, 6. 5 overall, the score is 5. Most people get 5 or 6. And of course, the higher the score, the more trustworthiness you are as a person.
So I assume that you ask, but you don't tell the person that actually you are asking according to
No,
the framework. Is it like that?
so you don't ask the person for their score. If you know that they're playing, ask them score if you want to, but I don't think that's how the conversation goes.
Yes.
But it just gives you an idea of yourself, because at the end of the day, if you know what your trust score is, your trustworthiness score, you can actually understand why some things are not working out in business relationships or in teams or in sales or in networking or whatever else it is. It gives you an idea of where you stand. Yeah. So it's a useful self-assessment tool. How about the others?
Okay.
Any comments or thoughts?
Hi, I'm Alice. Sorry I'm late. Can someone summarize what is the content of the reading today? The sharing. It's about
Let
trust,
me,
isn't it? I
let
only
me
heard
try
the
and do that
last
in
part.
let me try and do that in 2 minutes. So basically, I introduced a trust equation to determine how trustworthy you are and what should you work on. There are 4 variables, what you can work on to increase your trustworthiness, because that's a very important factor in business success or in working with teams or even in your personal relationships. So that's basically what I introduced. It's available on trustadvisor.com, and there's a test you can take as well. And it's used by a lot of I've seen a lot of corporations refer to it, and even in coaching they do refer to it. Yeah, it's very interesting. It's quite eye-opening.
Okay, thanks. Thanks for sharing.
Hi, Rianna.
Hi.
I think I was a little bit late for the Hangouts. I think I need to rewatch the replay again. So can you repeat the website address again so that I can?
It's trustadvisor.com.
You can share the screen again. The
Yeah,
slide
share.
just now.
Yeah, let me just.
The equation and the 2 slides, the equation and the other
Okay.
slide.
So
Sorry.
here, okay. So this is the equation. The trust equation is there are 4 variables: credibility, reliability, intimacy, and self-orientation equals to trustworthiness. And you get higher scores on the top and lower score on the bottom. And this is the website where you can actually do a self-assessment on how trustworthy you are. And of course, wherever you are, there's always ways to improve, because you know what is it that you need to work on, which of the 4 variables you need to work on, and to improve that trustworthiness. So, and people will sense that. I mean, my personal experience is people sense when they can trust you and when they cannot trust you. Okay, so let me just stop sharing the screen.
I think the web address is not correct. It gives me a blank page saying the domain is available for sale.
Oh, is it? That's very strange. Okay. Let me try this. Trustadvisor.com. Oops. Hold on. Okay. Sorry, it's Trusted Advisor. Sorry.
Trusted
Trusted
advice.
Advisor. Yeah. So this is the thing. Let me just show you. If you take a test, they will tell you how well you do in terms of credibility, reliability, intimacy, and it's only a 5-minute test,
Wow. Okay.
so it's pretty handy to. It's
So
like it won't take up too much
if
time.
you don't pay, what can you see? I mean, can you see the score if you don't pay?
Uh, if you don't pay, yes, you can see the score. You
Okay.
can still see the score, but you cannot. And then they give you a little bit of a write-up,
Okay.
but you don't actually get more than that.
Okay.
You have to pay, I think it's 25 US or something to be able to
Okay.
see a full report for yourself.
Okay.
But I think the free part is already good enough.
Okay.
At least to start off, yeah.
You also mentioned, I guess, a book. Is that the trust-based selling?
There is a book, yeah, it's trust-based selling. So he's got 3 books,
Mhm.
and he refers to the trust equation in all 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
Uh,
Rihanna, later, after this, can you send me? You create this on Google share. I mean, what is that? The
Google Drive.
shall
Google
I shall I
presentation,
share
right?
it?
Is it presentation on Google Docs, right?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
yeah.
So you can send me the link.
Okay.
Yeah. Then I
And I'll
will
send you the
share.
other one too, yeah.
Yes. So you just send me the link. Then I will share the presentation slides with everyone. So all the information is there, right? The book
Yes,
names,
it's all
equation, and the website and everything. Yeah?
yes.
Okay. Very good.
Okay. Great. Thank you. Thank you for listening.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Street.
Thanks for the great
Yeah.
content.
Thanks everyone.
Let's wait for Street to close.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so thanks all of you for joining in. Thank you, Alice. Aslam, you joined late, but thank you for encouraging Rihanna. And thank you, Rihanna, for sharing. It's a really a new topic. I've never heard of it before. I never knew there was something called trustworthiness. So I think it's really nice learning for all of us.
That's great.
Thank you, Vincent, for keeping the time.
Yes, thank
And
you.
okay, see you all next time. Bye.
Bye bye.
Yes. See you. Good night,
Bye
everyone.
bye.
Good night. Bye.
Walau.